So you've basically always been in real estate since you've been in the workforce. Has there ever been a time where you've questioned whether this was the right industry or career for you?
Every day. Just
same girl, same.
I joke like, and it almost feels like every day I'm a therapist of just coaching my clients to stay calm and keeping things together. It's very difficult, and I think that's why we wake up in the middle of the night, like work, right? If you really care about your clients, man, it's a lot. They're trusting with us. The average human attention span is only about 5 seconds, and that's just going to stop the scroll. You're not going to capture that attention. If I'm listing a very basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, I may start my hook with, I have exciting news, down payment assistance is back, which means you could buy a home like this one with a free down payment. That is going to stop the scroll versus welcome to 123 Main Street.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting podcast of the Inspection Period. We're a new podcast by Estate Media.
And this week's guest is a super good one. We are welcoming Shannon Gillette, who is a top 10 Phoenix East Valley realtor, wife, mother, HgTV host, speaker, and all-around badass. Please join us in welcoming Shannon in this week's episode of the Inspection Period. Hi, Shannon.
Hello.
Welcome, Shannon.
Hello.
What's up?
Thank you for having me.
We were talking beforehand, like how we all know each other. And I was saying, I met you actually, it was virtually during COVID days at a Top Agent Smackdown, which you like kicked booty. It was like a role playing head to head against agents all in Phoenix. I know I say booty alive, young kids. And so I was like, wow, like just awesome dominant force in the East Valley kind of. I think where everybody knows you too is your social content. I follow you. I rip off a lot of your content. I love what you do. And so I've been caught in the Shannon Gillette algorithm for a while now. So great work out there.
Thank you.
Just amazing stuff.
Yeah, seriously, you've been doing video before it was even cool. You've really become like the queen of Queen Creek right out there, right? Isn't that like your nickname?
Well, today it is a new nickname. Yeah. I started my career actually in new home sales. So from 2006 to 2014, I was a new home sales consultant in Florence, Arizona. And if anyone sold real estate during that time, you know how difficult it was. It was an extreme buyer's market. And really how my video journey started was back in my new home sales days, because I was licensed with the builder. I could only sell new homes. But when someone would come into my new home sales office, they wanted to buy a new construction home, but they had a home to sell. They would hire a real estate agent, and I started to see over and over and over again the same thing happening for 8 years. And it was so frustrating for me because I just saw real estate agents taking on listings and not doing more than just putting a sign in the yard, taking some photos and putting it on the MLS. So when I left new home sales in 2014, I had to really start my real estate business over again. And I made a promise to myself to really go all in on video and building my personal brand on Instagram. So we're on track to close about $100 million in real estate this year, with all from YouTube, Instagram. I don't buy leads or cold call. Yeah, I mean,
That's epic.
Incredible. Yeah, so it started from, it was really weird back then to share your personal life on Instagram, to share your kids, your dog, but I leaned into my personal brand and I really started my video career with listing video marketing. And now, you know, our team is known as having one of the best listing marketing plans in the industry. We have some listing videos with over 100,000 views on YouTube, and it's an incredible lead source.
I love it. Well, as soon as we get to the tactical portion of the podcast, like I know where I'm digging in, guys. Like that's what everyone wants to know. Like pick Shannon's brain on what performs best, how do you outsource, all of that stuff. But I think we'll get to that.
Yeah, my favorite part of a lot of that stuff is how you're getting like hyper local about things as well. Yeah. Because like that's really what people are searching for. Like what are the best restaurants in this area? What are the best neighborhoods? Things like that. And they want to see it, you know, especially Arizona, where like lots of people are moving here to Arizona from out of state. So like super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at YouTube, obviously, I can talk a lot about building a personal brand on Instagram and how powerful that is, building that know, like, and trusted brand. But YouTube is it's so crazy to think that if you look at the real estate community as a whole, like here in the Phoenix market, there's over 55,000 licensed real estate agents, and not many of them have a YouTube channel. And I get these calls daily from YouTube, so I know what people are searching. For example, I got a call from a seller selling a $1.4 million home, and he goes, hey, I was actually just about to sign a listing agreement with another agent, but I went online and I found you. We'd like to interview you as well. And I said, well, I'm just curious, what did you type in? And he goes, well, I typed in best real estate agent in Chandler, Arizona. That's the power of tagging your YouTube videos to be found on the front page of Google. So if you were to Google any big neighborhood in the East Valley in the market that I sell in, my YouTube videos will be on the front page of Google. And that's all free. You're just investing in your video content, and it's paid off great, because now I'm working with clients that are asking me things like, are you taking on new listings right now? I don't have to like sell myself. They're asking me if I will work with them.
That's so cool. I guess we are going to go a little tactical here, because now I've done a question. So I'm curious then, staffing wise, like how do you manage this? Obviously it can't just be you. Are you outsourcing a lot of it? Is there in-house? What does that look like? Because this has to be like a marketing machine at this point.
Well, the biggest part of content creation is filming the content, right? So I have a great media team based out of Mesa here that really helps me film content. So I batch film every other week. I do a listing video for every home we list. There was a few weeks ago where we listed 20 homes in 7 days. Jeez. And we just have a small team. There's 11 of us, but I am on all my videos. So becoming a content creator, I guess, like in front of the camera becomes almost like a full-time job. I'm also actively in production. I take out buyers, I meet with sellers, and I just have one VA and a transaction coordinator and a real estate coach, and that's pretty much it. Just a small little operation here.
Man,
that's awesome.
Sounds like you don't sleep. You also got a family and kids and extracurricular activities on top of all of that. Well, that's the first segment here is kind of like mine to own. It's I don't know. We nicknamed it so far. What is it? The head. It's the head, the heart, and the hands. We're workshopping those. We'll see. Correct. We'll see what happens. But really, the first segment is like what's happening here now. And what's interesting about you, Shannon, is that like your personal brand, you've done such a great job developing it that like we know some certain things that are important for you, like your family, your the table. What's the thing that you're like focusing on right now as like Shannon that is not work related or family related?
Yeah, well, that also comes back to a personal brand, right? I think we all have personal brands. It would be like the top 3 or 4 things that are important to you besides your job. And if someone follows me on Instagram, hopefully they know that my faith is really important to me. I'm not afraid to share, behind the scenes at church on Sunday morning. Giving back to the community is really important to us. We do a lot within our local community, specifically with kids living in foster care group homes. We just hosted a prom for a bunch of teenage girls at our office last week, and we're about to take hundreds of kids shopping for new shoes before school.
Oh, that's right. It was like for girls in the foster care system, right?
Yeah. So we love just giving back to the community. I think we all, as small business owners or real estate community, we all can be giving back to the community. And if someone's listening and they're like, man, I want to make a difference in my community, one thing that everyone can do is ask their local schools how you can help. And with schools starting back up here in a few months, like it's amazing the things that just local schools need. So we're big supporters of schools, foster care, trying to make a difference and an impact within the same communities where we're selling homes.
I love that. Is that like a big motivational why for you in like building business and continuing to generate wealth in those arenas and all of that? Like, is that a big why for you?
Yeah, definitely. And it helps you get through those long days, right? Because a lot of people think being a real estate agent is easy, but if it was easy, 87% of real estate agents wouldn't fail within the first 2 years, right? So it may look easy from the outside, but it's not. So having that why of why you get through the long days and everything is definitely really important.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I like that you're not shy about the faith side of your life as well. I mean, Lindsay can dig in that a little bit, but it's such an important component. In another life, I'm signed to Tooth and Nail Records to write church music, actually, me and some good friends. So I kind of live in that world as well. But yeah.
If you search on YouTube for Justin Benson, bar agency may come up, but will definitely come up is some music videos.
Music videos.
I'm gonna
That's
do that.
true. I'm a
it's cool.
musician masquerading as a business person, I guess, something like that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So like in obviously like the world of real estate's shifting around a whole lot right now, from like NAR settlements and buyer broker agreements and commissions and brokerages, trying to figure all of that out. How have you been navigating that with your team? Like what's been some of the stuff that you guys have been digging into to make sure that like people aren't scared or feel supported through that transition? And even yourself personally, like any challenges going through those, it seems like it changes every week, actually, like the news that rolls out.
Well, I think it's 2024, right? There's no excuse to not be building a very strong, trusted brand online, and also just the video content. So I want to build a brand so strong that when somebody is getting ready to sell their home or buy a home, the only team or agent they think of is ours, because we're in front of them all the time. And when you mix in your personal life, when you're building your personal brand online, you really become trusted, right? Where people feel like they know me, but yet we've never met in person. And with all the headlines in the media, that is what the consumer needs right now more than ever, is a trusted resource. And, I think we all can step it up even more.
That makes sense. Yeah, like there's that old saying that familiarity breeds trust, basically. Like we trust things that we see more often. Have you seen your like personal brand contributing to how quickly clients say yes to you guys or trust you guys? And even in the future rounds of like getting a buyer broker agreement signed in the future, have you seen has it been easier for you guys?
Oh, definitely. So here's an example of what a traditional listing like presentation would look like for me to go to someone's home, sit at their dining room table. I was meeting with the seller of a multi-million-dollar home, and she already followed us online, knew a lot of the stuff. So we don't have to get into much of it. But what was so crazy to me at the end, she was like holding her breath, waiting to see if she made the cut to be one of our listings. And she goes, "You're going to take us on?" I was like, yeah, like pretty much everyone makes the cut, right? But that is a plan that's so strong, where she's like, man, the Gillette Group can get my home in front of thousands and thousands of people. Like our average YouTube video is getting 5,000 to 10,000 views within the first weekend. We have Instagram Reels with 77,000 views on a listing. And I can talk more later on how we're able to get those views, because I think the real estate community, that anyone that's trying to do video, a lot of people are doing it the wrong way right now. But that is just incredible. Like we definitely see the results, and that's why I will never list a home without doing a professional listing video. And that's why I post on my Instagram story every single day of the year, which is exhausting, but I do it because I see the results.
Man,
are you sending anything besides they can see your YouTube videos, stuff along those lines, but are you actively sending them any other kind of video content beforehand, like before the appointment?
Well, a lot of people already know everything about us because we are being Googled. If you are a licensed real estate agent and you think your clients didn't do a little Google search before meeting you, they did, but we don't tell people we're Googling them. How many times have we gone to someone's like Facebook page and scrolled through their pictures from 2010 and that feeling where you accidentally like something and they're like, oh my gosh, like you don't want them to know you're Googling them. So we're being Googled. So what is found? Like all like just real estate community or small business owners, you should Google your name, see what comes up. So having that strong online presence is so important. And it involves being very consistent and disciplined with what you post. Like you can't just post one thing a month and expect to get a ton of calls.
That's funny that you'd say freaking LinkedIn is like my worst nightmare. And there's like, I visit someone's page and I'm like, no, they know that I was looking at them because they're going to get notified that I was
so true.
Like Justin's a stalker.
Crap. Justin's viewed my profile 60 times this year. Awesome. you're also you're also the host of The American Dream on HgTV as well. Like, how did that happen? I mean, obviously there's a ramp up story, but like, when did that start, and like, how's that been going for you? Because as far as the personal brand is concerned, getting that kind of going back to that conversation of trust, like, it breeds so much. I don't want to say PR, just like visibility for your personal brand to like expedite it. It's like a snowball that's rolling faster and faster down the hill. But like, when did that start, and like, how's that been going for you guys?
Well, it really all started getting my face on camera, which a lot of people say, oh, Shannon, I watch your YouTube videos. You're so natural. I'm not natural on camera. I can't do video. Video is not for me. But if you go back to my original videos, they were horrible. Like, I was talking loud. It wasn't natural at all. But I just had to do it and stay consistent because I don't know, so many people are scared of video, but everything we do the first time in business is hard. The first listing presentation we go to, we were probably super nervous knocking on their door. The first home we showed, or the first contract that we had to write, like, but you get better with time. So thankfully, I just didn't give up with video, and I became more natural, which then led into more TV opportunities, which is amazing because not only do we give back to the community a lot, but we're also big supporters of local small businesses. So it allows us to get local small business owners an incredible platform, and also some of our listings as well, just get more exposure for them.
Dang, that's awesome. The video side of things obviously is like kind of what we keep hitting home on, but like, I want to transition to Lindsay because there's more to Shannon than just videos and real estate and some church stuff. Love to like unpack a bit of your personal journeys. So like, Lindsay, go for it.
I've been super excited to have this conversation, Shannon, because I think one of the most interesting things about real estate is that most people didn't start in real estate. There's the story of like what was before real estate. So let's go back to little or young Shannon, and what was she doing before real estate? How did you make the leap into this industry that can be a little bit wild and chaotic? What led to being in real estate? Who did you think you were going to be growing up? Kind of give us some backstory prior to us landing here today.
Well, in order to build a successful real estate business, you have to have very strong work ethic, right? And I always say my work ethic comes from my mom, because I was raised by a single mom. We didn't have much. There were many years we didn't even have a dining room table. I remember like sitting around like on the floor eating dinner, and growing up like without a lot, I think was such a blessing looking back. I worry about my own kids because I'm like, man, you guys have no idea what it means to like not have money for food. But that gave me this incredible work ethic where, it helps get me through those hard days. And I also think our heart for the community, right? Knowing like, man, I didn't always have a lot. And I also barely graduated from high school too. My mom worked nights, like my brother, like I basically was just kind of by myself. And right out of high school, I got a job leasing apartments for a luxury property management company here in the Phoenix area. And that's where I really got my love for real estate, helping people find their home, even if it's leasing an apartment. So I did that for 4 years and then got a job as a new home sales consultant. I was 23 years old selling new homes during the recession. I was the top new home sales consultant in the country and one of the only new home sales consultants that didn't have a college degree. So I really wanted to make a point that you don't need a college degree to be really successful in real estate. And I learned so much those years leasing apartments.
Yeah, I love that story. Thanks for sharing that with us. I think a lot of people, my parents were divorced really young. I know George and Justin had, childhood things growing up that really helped shape who they are today. So that's really cool. So you basically always been in real estate since you've been in the workforce. Has there ever been a time where you've questioned whether this was the right industry or career for you?
Every day. Just
same girl, same.
I joke like
we're not alone, guys. We're not.
I know. I joke all the time, like I'm just going to be a travel YouTuber and just travel the world. But I'm sure there's downsides to that as well. But it's a very tough industry. It's not easy at all.
Yeah,
what do you think makes it tough?
Yeah, so I believe there's so much on our shoulders, right? Our clients are trusting us with their biggest asset, whether you're listing a home or helping them find a home. And what a lot of people that are not in the industry, what they don't realize is a lot of the hard work comes after the home is under contract, getting the home to closing. And with how weird the market's been over the past few years, it's been harder than ever, I think, to reach closing from all of the emotions, the obstacles, the low appraisals. And I mean, it almost feels like every day I'm a therapist of just coaching my clients to stay calm and keeping things together. It's very difficult. And I think that's why we wake up in the middle of the night, like work, right? If you really care about your clients, man, it's a lot. They're trusting with us.
I agree. And I think that we are all kind of riding the edge of that burnout all the time in real estate, because there are a lot of toxic traits in our industry that people aren't often talking about, just in terms of, we do all of the work and then maybe make a paycheck at the end of it. How have you managed that kind of cycle of burnout or, just falling out of love with something you used to be in love with? Like, what do you do when you find those times where you're like, man, I really do wish I could just go be a travel YouTube blogger?
Yes. Well, one of my main focus over the past few years has not been about how much money can I make, how many homes can I sell. It's about quality of life, because when you're leading a team actively in production, plus I have 3 kids, a husband, and all the things, you can get really burnt out. And like my phone just rings and dings all day long. And sometimes you just want to throw it against the wall. So quality of life has been a main focus. So a few years ago, I made the decision to hire a coach. I used to think, oh, I don't need a coach. I was very skeptic. Like I was a skeptic of the whole thing. And having a coach has been huge, to have that accountability partner every week to kind of work through the issues going on. I think it's hard to do this business alone. And also, this sounds crazy, but one of the first things my coach worked with me on was figuring out my hourly rate, because when I joined coaching, I didn't even have an assistant. I was getting up at 4 a.m. to make YouTube thumbnails. This was just in 2020. I didn't have a team. It was just me, my videographer, my TC, and figuring out my hourly rate and not doing those things that are not in my hourly rate. So getting help like with a virtual assistant, or even understanding it's an investment, even hiring a house cleaner and things like that. So that's been huge. And also making my family a priority, scheduling in things like every Friday night, we do Friday night family night. That is in my calendar. It'll never be moved. So having that to look forward to all week, scheduling in things like that in my calendar, being really intentional to travel with my family as well. Because real estate can take over your life if you let it. It's 7 days a week. There's no days off. Even on Christmas, I sold a house this year.
Yeah, no, I
try to use that dollar per hour argument all the time with my wife. It doesn't go over that well, actually.
Oh.
Well, I can't. If I mow the grass, man, that costs a lot of money for me to mow the grass.
I'm a big fan of the CEO hourly rate as well. Transitioning a little bit. So I'm a girl's girl, Shannon. You run a team of all women. Tell me how that came to fruition. Was that intentional? I feel like, sometimes, I think in years past, maybe women were more adversaries and competitors than collaborative. And I'm seeing this trend shift to being, women being all women teams and even all women brokerages now and things like that. Tell me, was that intentional? Did that just come to fruition? How does that manage with, just having a lot of estrogen in one area? How do you handle all of that?
Well, I never wanted to be a team leader, and I never wanted to have a team. One of my biggest issues is I want to do everything myself. I could do it better, faster myself. But what happened was 2020, I could not take the amount of inbound YouTube, Instagram leads I was getting. I got to a point where it's like, man, my clients are just going to suffer. I can't do this all myself. So that just started where I brought on an agent here and there. But I've been so intentional. For every one agent we bring on our team, we have 40 to 50 applicants. We're a very highly sought after team within the Phoenix East Valley. And people think I'm crazy for keeping it so small with just 11. And they're like, Shannon, you have so many. Like, recruiting is not an issue for our team because we've built such a trusted brand. So being very intentional, and it's a different team. Like we pray before meetings and meals together. Like we're like sisters, family. We talk all day long. And I just want a team where I'm excited to come to work and everyone is very positive. And so we have the same values and it's just been amazing. And now again, back to that quality of life, like, man, I can trust any one of my clients with them. They're all super experienced, amazing at their job. And it's been really cool. I never thought in a million years I would have a team of 11. But it's been good.
That's awesome. I am a failed team lead, so my hat's off to you and George. I started with new agents and it was really, really difficult. I think my last question for you is really about being seen. You've obviously grown a significant audience, and I think there's a lot of people out there, me included, that as we're growing our audience, it becomes really scary to be seen on such a big level and to have so many eyes on you. How have you, I'm assuming you had some, limiting beliefs or maybe an inner critic too that got in your way over the years, but like, how have you overcome that and really, push yourself to continue to grow your brand, to continue to grow your presence and really put yourself out there when we know that opens you up for judgment and criticism and, some scary things come along with being seen at such a high level. How have you really navigated that and kind of built yourself up through that?
Well, you would think so. I have a little over maybe 53,000 followers on Instagram, and people probably think, oh, Shannon, it's probably so easy now that you have this big following to just post here and there, but it's not easy. I still post things and cringe inside. I'm like, no one wants to hear this. No one wants to see this. Oh, I shouldn't have posted that. Oh, it's not getting a lot of engagement. Maybe I should delete it. I still get that. And it's a lot of pressure because I mentioned earlier, I've made a commitment to post on my Instagram story every single day. And I think Instagram stories are not talked about enough. Everyone wants to do training on reels or feed posts, but the Instagram stories, that's where people are spending a lot of time. The average US adult is spending 2 hours a day on social media and they're going to Instagram instead of watching TV. So what are you putting out on your Instagram? Is it like a reality TV show or is it a nonstop commercial? Because there are still the real estate agents out there posting nonstop, just sold, just listed, Canva graphics. Nobody wants to see that. So really letting people in the inside of my life and not being afraid that my personal brand is not for everyone. And I think we want to be so safe with our content and think, man, if I post that I'm at church Sunday morning, could that offend someone? Well, it might, but I am attracting the people that I want to work with, that I have incredible clients. Like they follow me on Instagram. We have so much in common, posting my kids. I used to think, man, if I post that I'm at my son's football game on a Saturday afternoon, am I going to look weak that I'm not out hustling? I'm at a football field. But just knowing that, man, I'm not for everyone and I don't want to be for everyone, and just being okay with sharing my life. But I definitely still use a filter and it's not perfect, but I think it just comes down to just posting. And if you don't have haters and you don't have trolls on social media, you're probably not getting any business from social media because you're not posting enough and you're not being like edgy enough to really share your life. So I think anyone that's scared to post because they might make someone cringe, like they probably just don't want to be successful, because that you've got to put the content out there.
Yeah, I agree. It's building a muscle and it's reps, right? It's how many times that you do it. You have to desensitize yourself to your own face and voice on social media a lot of times, I feel like. So
a selfish question before we depart from this section. So I got 2 young kids. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and me and my wife are like having these conversations about how do you raise, because I came from a background where struggle, work ethic was created because it had to be created. It was like survival, basically, right? But like now that raising kids in not the exact same environment, like I'm racking my brain trying to figure out how do I raise children that are resilient and have really great work ethic, like, are you doing anything inside of your family right now to do that? And again, I'm like, for the audience, I'm selfishly asking this question because I want to know from everybody.
I wrote down this. I wrote down the same question.
Yeah, I struggle with that all the time, right? Because my kids have a completely opposite childhood than I did. I think what really helps is my husband and I started our own nonprofit, and I know I've talked a lot about giving back to the community, but our kids have been serving the community since they were babies, like feeding the homeless or working with foster kids or taking them shopping for new shoes. So getting your kids out to serve and give back, I think, is really important. So they have a heart to serve others, and making sure that they're not just getting everything handed to them as well is so important. But really having that quality family time is important as well, because as very busy business owners, your family can go on the back burner really fast. So having that intentional time with your family, like we do the Friday night family nights and individual time with my kids and date night with my husband, right? Making sure that they don't get left behind because we're so busy working is so important. But who knows? I always joke that my kids will probably need therapy because I'm constantly, this is their mom, like on my phone, right? The
I'm saving for my children's therapy fund, not their college fund, so I feel you there.
Oh,
yeah. Shannon, you're very like, you're deep into the relationship side, I see. Like that's what I'm, from your kids, very intentional in many ways, whether, your faith, the relationship with your clients, your social media posting. You go about these things with this like determination and intentionality, and deep into the relationship is what I sense in all of this. And so I think that is a recipe for, well, besides being just a really great human, like it does attract people, right? Whether that's people to your team or people to your content or whatever that is like you are who you are. And it's kind of like, I love that, because a lot of times you don't know if you're getting the real person on social media.
Yeah. But
I feel like we get the real you, right? And the content that you put out in your stories, in your reels and everything, like, and I'm guessing that's what is the trust factor. These are come list me appointments rather than come, pitch me appointments. Come get interviewed. It's like you're interviewing them. And so well done. I mean, just amazing work. I'm a big fan. And so I guess this leads over to my segment. We'll kind of get into like tactical takeaways and how other agents can implement this in their business, and maybe even outside of real estate. And so obviously we've talked a lot on like social media and what works well. I want to dig a little bit more into that. You said stories are number one thing that you focus on, at least daily. I'm interested, one, I get hundreds of views on my stuff. You get hundreds of thousands of views on your stuff. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people get caught up in the follower count or the view count, and they just don't post because, only 20 people saw my Instagram story or only 100 people saw my reel. But imagine speaking in front of a crowd of 100 people. That's actually a lot of people. But people stop doing it just because it's so small. But imagine having 20 people over to dinner at your home. Like that's a lot of people. So as long as you stay consistent and disciplined and just not worry about the follower count, because they will come as long as you keep consistent. We all start at zero. But a few things that help me, because I am very busy. One of like the main thing I started doing years ago is batch filming. So every other week I go to a local studio here in my town with my media team, and I just batch film those like talking head reels where either my videographer will ask me questions or I'll read from a teleprompter, just so I have a content bank all the time of things I can post. And that is amazing because you're not going to wake up every day and just be in the mood to film content. The next thing is I do a professional listing video commercial for every home I list. And when we're doing our listing videos, I'm very intentional about the script writing. So if you go to my YouTube or even on Instagram, you'll never hear me say, "Welcome to 123 Main Street. I'm Shannon Gillette. Let's head inside to this 3-bedroom, 2-bath." Because the average human attention span is only about 5 seconds, and that's just going to stop the scroll. You're not going to capture that attention. So if I'm listing a very basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, I may start my hook with, "I have exciting news. Down payment assistance is back, which means you could buy a home like this one with a free down payment." That is going to stop the scroll versus
The
welcome
hook.
to 123
Yeah.
Main Street. We've got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And on YouTube, this has been like the big game changer for me. When you're filming a listing video with lifestyle first, or that hook first, or talking about the master plan community amenities, or talking about what it's like to live in Queen Creek, Arizona, that video will live on YouTube forever. Saying welcome to 123 Main Street, nobody wants to watch that. And that's why the view count is so low. So I have listing videos that I filmed a year ago. The home's already closed, and that video is getting viewed today. People are watching it because my videos may start with, if you're looking, for a neighborhood that has these amazing amenities and you can walk to dinner, and half the videos maybe about the lifestyle and community, and then a little bit about the house. I think that's really powerful. So script writing, storytelling, we really want to tell a story about our listing. So that right there is just giving me enough content to post. And then I really want to, for every 5 to 7 posts, I want to show my personal life as well. So if you're scrolling through my feed, I hope you don't feel like it's all real estate. Like, you should see my kids, my dogs, our travels, so people know who I am besides my job.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's following like a same format to like what SEO stuff is transferring to right now as well. Like, you don't market 123 Main Street because good luck outranking Zillow and Realtor.com and those websites. What you do is you have like best places to hike in Queen Creek, Arizona, like very specific hyper location type things that people are actually searching for in there. And you're basically doing that with your videos, which is also the keywords, and Google's indexing all of that. So when people search, it's pulling up the words that are happening inside of the YouTube video as well. So it's interesting that like that's the route. Would you say, Shannon, like I once heard somebody compare social media to like farming for real estate agents, basically on the consistency piece. Like, when you first start farming, like, you got to commit to this thing for the next 2 years to actually see any like benefit out of it. Is social media kind of one of those things? Like, it's a slow roll, and that's the reason why most people are not successful at it, is because they just don't stay committed to it.
Oh, 100%. Because even if you have one reel go viral, you're not necessarily going to sell a lot of homes from that. So that's the thing, is real estate agents give up way too fast. They post a few reels and say things like, oh, I didn't get any calls. Social media doesn't work for me. They host a few open houses and nobody comes in. And then they say, oh, open houses don't work for me. Nobody came in. With anything in this business, you could be successful in so many ways, but it just comes down to being disciplined and consistent. And social media and YouTube is a very much a long-term game. You may have to consistently post for 6 months to a year before you get those come list me calls, but they will come if you stay consistent. And thinking about what people want to watch. Like, not everybody's looking to buy a house today. So I'll give you one more example of a home that we just sold. It broke a record for the neighborhood. It had multiple offers. And I went to film the listing video, and I didn't exactly know where we were going to start the video, but I always ask my sellers and my clients, what are your favorite things about your home? What do you love living about? Like, what do you love most about living here? Like, lifestyle, because we always want to start our videos with lifestyle, unless it's a beautiful multi-million-dollar estate. That can get enough views just on its own, but I list pretty basic homes. And I asked the sellers, and they go, well, this new restaurant just opened, like within walking distance. It's called Social Birdie in Queen Creek. And I was like, okay, we're going to start our listing video at the restaurant. So I started with like this new addition to the town. I filmed a reel. And at the end I said, and our newest listing is within walking distance to this restaurant. I made the restaurant a collaborator on Instagram. That got 78,000 views. We get showings from this marketing. It's not all for fluff. Like, people would send us DMs and say, I just saw your reel. Can I schedule a showing? We're seeing people come into the open house that saw the social media advertisement. So taking your listing and maybe using that as some type of educational content or lifestyle content, like you said, hiking trails, is really important. So now you're getting good content that even someone with a small following can still get the views and potentially a lot more exposure for your client's home.
How long would you say people need to stay committed? Like, if somebody was starting today, like, would you say it's a year? Like, how long before they start seeing traction? Obviously, that's a very vague answer. Maybe just answer it in your experience of like how long it took before you really started feeling like, oh man, this is worth it. Like, I'm going to keep going here.
I would say to someone just starting out, Commit to 6 months of posting on your Instagram story every day, maybe 5 stories a day of a behind the scenes of your life. Like, hey, I just did a workout, or here's what I'm eating for breakfast, or now I'm out showing homes and look at this beautiful kitchen. Do 5 stories a day, maybe like 4 feed posts a week, do some reels, like 6 months. And if you're consistent, you should start to see some results. But that's really hard. It becomes like a full-time job, but it gets easier with time because it just becomes natural. And really being open to sharing who you are besides your job is important as well. I know some moms are not, a fan of posting their kids on social media, and my family didn't love it at first, but now they see all of the rewards. So they're fine with it now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things, Shannon, is enrolling the people around you in your goal, right? Social media it's part of the job. And I think that once I got my husband on board and my friends all know that Instagram eats first, everyone kind of, realizes that it's an income stream for me. So I think it's super important to bring the people with you and in your family along for that journey. So I'm glad that you shared that. I think it's so important to enroll your family, your team into content creation, because it is really hard when you feel silly or embarrassed about it. It just makes it so much easier when everyone agrees that it's all for our benefit.
Yeah, it's cool when your kids are actually the age where they can video you. Well, I'm like, hey, dude, I need some B-roll real fast. Can you video me real quick? But Shannon, one of my other takeaways in hearing you is like, you have this marketing brain that not a lot of people have. Like, was that always there? Like, content creation is probably the hardest part. Like, did you follow other people? Did you rip off idea? Like, I mean, how did you come up with this? And how did your brain just flip one day and go, okay, I'm thinking content more. I'm thinking scripts. Like, how did you do that?
Well, I think it goes back to just the early days of building my Instagram. Yeah. The real estate community was not sharing their personal life on Instagram. So I had to look at people outside of the industry. So I remember following an interior decorator and like this fashion blogger. And I remember there was this girl in Texas, and she would just share like clothing and stuff, but she would share her family. And I remember her dog's name and where her husband worked and their travels. And I was like, man, I feel like I know her, but she has no idea I exist. And I said, can I do this for real estate where I can let people in on my daily life where they feel like they know me? And I kind of just copied off of them that were outside of the industry. And I noticed, man, they were sitting in the driver's seat of their car talking into the camera. And I felt like they were talking to me. And can I do that in real estate? So I just started doing that and staying consistent. And as you do anything, it just becomes easier and more natural, and just a lot of trial and error. I used to start my listing videos in front of the house saying, welcome to the home of the day. I'm Shannon Gillette. Let's head inside. But learned like, man, that's not stopping scroll, listening to a lot of podcasts, doing a lot of research on my own. I think so many people are waiting for someone to train them when we can learn anything we want to know online, and just staying consistent at the end of the day.
I love that. Such great takeaways from that. Like, and so today, I'm curious too, like obviously following you, agents out there, it's amazing to watch and taking your content. Is there anybody else that you admire, like currently in the industry, that does a really cool job?
I mean, there's so many. So I am with Real Broker. I feel like Real Broker is attracting so many of the top content creators. So everyone I think of is at my brokerage, like Katie Day and Erica Wolf, and what they do, these agents outside of Arizona, is really like they're treating their Instagram like a TV show where you get to know them besides just their job. And I think that's just the key takeaway, where people, they have to think of it like that and stop sharing just sold, just listed. Because if you were following, let's say you were following a car salesman and all that car salesman did was post cars for sale, like how long would you follow that? But imagine if that car salesman made a personal brand, like his family, his car salesman journey, life behind the scenes, like that'd be kind of entertaining to follow.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that's worked for you and what strategies you're using to diversify your income outside of just your earned income buy, sell real estate?
I think it is such a good question, Lindsay, because so many people think, oh, I need to go buy investment properties, right? But to most agents, it's just not realistic to go buy an apartment building. So one thing that I have implemented in my business over the past few years is aligning with the right brokerage that fits me. And I'm with Real Broker, and Real Broker is a cloud-based brokerage where they actually share their revenue with their agents simply for doing our job and for attracting agents. So it's the fastest growing brokerage in the industry right now. And I've been so honored to attract over 100 agents that basically all they did was sign up, put my name down as their sponsor. And that's bringing in such an incredible additional passive income to
awesome.
Where I can go. Yeah, I mean, I can go travel with my family and know that like our vacations are covered. And if I wanted to maybe take a little bit of a break from this real estate day-to-day craziness, I could feel comfortable doing that because not only do they have the rev share, but there's also the stock purchase program where they give you stock shares just simply for doing your job. So that's been life-changing for me. And I think it's something easy that someone can implement into their business. That's not as crazy as like buying a bunch of investment properties.
Are you monetizing all the YouTube stuff too? Like, is the YouTube stuff like monetizing for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely additional income in all of that. Like when you get a big following, even social media. But I've stayed really true to myself. Like I definitely get offers for people like, hey, if you post this on your Instagram, I'll pay you a few $1,000s. But I care more about my trusted brand than just like posting random things. So, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities out there. I think now more than ever, agents should really be looking into what other things they can implement besides just selling and closing homes.
Well, I admire that about you because I think, I have a baby following compared to yours, but I definitely get offers of, do 3 posts and get, whatever it is. And I think staying true to your brand and staying true to yourself about what makes sense for your audience and you is incredibly important.
Once again, a ton of, I've seen you and interacted with you a number of times, but I would say just super impressed, Shannon, with what you're doing. And your authentic nature too just comes through in everything. So you're one of the good ones out there, and we appreciate having you in the industry alongside us.
Yeah, for sure. That honesty is a brave thing to do that lots of people are going to discount that have never done it. But it's cool that you've stayed the course and continued to be honest with like who you are. And it's so cool to see that the life and the company that you've built around that, because it aligns fully with you and your family and your values and everything, just kind of thoroughly. So awesome. Any last takeaways, Shannon, before we sign off here?
No, I mean, I'd love to connect with everyone over on Instagram at Shannon_Gillette.
Oh, yeah. Make sure everybody follow. If you want really awesome video inspiration, make sure to follow her on Instagram and YouTube and all of those sources. So, and I guess that's it. That's it for this week's. So make sure to stay tuned for another episode next week. And we'll be sure to follow Estate Media on Instagram and YouTube and all the other socials. And make sure that you also follow this podcast on YouTube and where you listen to your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review because that would be awesome. And we'll be having new episodes of the inspection period every single week delivered right to you.
Thanks. Bye, Shannon. Thank you so much.